Before I begin, I feel like I need to put a disclaimer on this. Although it may seem like I'm shitting all over numerous things, I'm not intending to much. So here's the first one. I've photographed a lot of weddings. A lot. But I would never refer to myself as a wedding photographer. I don't want to be or be known as a wedding photographer. Wedding photography, from this photographer's perspective, is pompous and bloated. The last kind of photographer I want to be is the one who thinks that they need to charge somebody $10,000 and wear the leather harness with 4 camera bodies hanging off of it and every lens in the lineup and all the dumbass remote flashes and 3 other spare mirrorless bodies just because. Fuck off. It's just unnecessary. I've actually kind of stopped shooting weddings. For anyone who may see this who hasn't photographed a wedding, or even those who do, regardless, they can be a real beating mentally and physically. Don't get me wrong, I've been very fortunate to shoot weddings in Hawaii several times, Mexico several times, even Iceland. You want to photograph them to put a little money in your pocket, but after a while you kind of feel like you're being robbed of your creativity when all you have to work with 9 out of 10 times is some dark hotel ballroom. So I started saying no. They just weren't worth it for me anymore. For me to take on a wedding now, I either have to have a connection with the couple or the wedding has to be somewhere pretty fucking cool. Like Ben and Anna's upcoming wedding on Mount Rainier. All that to say, back in March, my buddy Paul asked me to shoot his wedding in Spain. This wedding checked both of those self-imposed boxes for me. I love my friend Paul, and Spain has always kind of hovered in the middle of my very long travel bucket list, so let's go to Spain. Right, so on paper, this sounds like, oh my God, how incredible, Spain. I don't know if I'm there. It's expectation versus reality. But before we get into the trip, let's give a little context. So again, my buddy Paul asked me to shoot his wedding in Spain. Check. Flight booked. Check. Examine a little more closely the length of time I'll be in Spain to actually do things. Manageable. At least I'll have an entire day to myself to wander and explore Barcelona. Check. Lodging, not so check. Due to circumstances beyond one's control, I ended up bunking in a king-size bed with my other buddy Will. Cool, not a problem. Pack a shitload of film because I didn't really pay attention to how little time I will have, and not knowing that there isn't much to photograph in Barcelona that's actually worth the cost of film. Check. I mean, I pack film like I pack clothes, thinking I'm going through 9 shirts and 14 pair of underwear on a 3-day trip. So I fly to Dallas at noon on Sunday, 2-hour flight to Atlanta, 3-ish hour layover, depart Atlanta at like 7:30 at night, land in Barcelona at 6:45 in the morning, Monday. Will was supposed to land an hour after me. Then we were going to taxi to the hotel together. The hotel that wasn't under my name. Will didn't end up landing till 2:30 that afternoon. Delayed connection and lost luggage. When I went really international for the first time, I remember being told not to go to bed or take a nap when you get there because that's when jet lag will get you. But now that Will is late and I have to sit at the airport for 7 extra hours and not sleep, I'm fucking dying. Once Will gets through customs and deals with his lost luggage, we head out. Finally. This is where the expectation versus reality starts to become more pronounced. I've never been to Spain before, but I've seen enough movies and documentaries and Discovery Channel that I think I have a pretty good idea of what it should look like. From the airport to downtown Barcelona just kind of looked like everywhere. I mean, it could have been fucking Scottsdale. You know the Mediterranean is on your right, but you can't see it. It's just some port shit. And yeah, there's some little mountains over there on your left, but that's it. And that's okay. I didn't come here to see that. I know that that's not what all of Spain looks like. You start to get a little closer to the city, and then it starts to feel a little more European. People walking everywhere, Vespas, old buildings, open apartment shutters with the drapes blowing in the wind. This is a little more expectation. Once we got settled in the room, the sun had effectively set to the point that I knew I wasn't going to load any film. So I just wandered around.
Cocktail attire, you don't have.
When you get the opportunity to travel outside of North America, which I genuinely wish everyone at some point in their lives is fortunate enough to do, there are some things that just become a little more glaring. The more I travel, even in the States, the longer that list grows. Some of these highlights, in no particular order, I feel like we stopped caring about investing into the building of beautiful things. It genuinely feels like we don't care what something looks like anymore, just as long as it gets the job done. Next time you're out, look. Cookie cutter housing developments, hideous apartment complexes, shoebox office buildings, shit, even cars. I also wish people could travel internationally just to have their Americanness checked really fucking hard. Walking around Barcelona, everyone smoked. The one thing I didn't see, though, was a single cigarette butt on the ground. Barcelona, by big city standards, was spotless. On garbage night, the trash was neatly stacked on the sidewalk. Every cardboard box was broken down and stacked neatly. They even had uniformed street sweepers. And that's awesome, but not once did I ever see anybody litter. Next time you're at a stoplight, watch. Some asshole's gonna chuck a cigarette butt out their window. Every time I've been to New York City, shit everywhere. I mean, half the alleys look like their own little landfill biomes. So little care is given to others about how your actions might impact someone else, just as it's no longer your concern. And I'm sure someone is gonna say, well, I've been to Paris and it looked like shit. That's not the point. And actually, you just proved my point. Tuesday. Had to be up early and on the bus for an hour ride to the venue, which, wow. This is what I had envisioned when coming here. When you think of the Mediterranean, this is what I'd always pictured in my head. There's a little give and take when I photograph a wedding for a friend. On one hand, I'm there to work, which generally means I don't get to enjoy the wedding like a typical wedding guest. On the other hand, I will absolutely drink on the job. Wednesday, the day I planned on getting up early and exploring the city and shooting a shitload of film. You know, the thing is, anybody who shoots film knows it's not cheap. It's not cheap to buy, it's not cheap to process. Even self-processing and scanning would have an upfront cost of hundreds of dollars, in my opinion, to do it the right way. I don't want to be a wasteful shooter. I shoot film intently. It's how I learned photography. And for me, it's still about immersing myself in the process. So the rationalization I use before I commit something to film is, would I hang this on my wall? And if I doubt myself for even a second that I wouldn't pay to have this image printed and framed and hung on my wall, even in my bathroom, I don't waste the frame. It's too precious. So if that's my mindset, then I need inspiration. Barcelona is just not that inspiring. I brought like 10 rolls of film. I only shot 2. 20 frames. That's it. So you're going to see all 20. I normally wouldn't post every photo I took, but I only took 20 pictures. And admittedly, I don't feel like making a video to show you 3 pictures. My shit still stinks. Plus, these are kind of growing on me. Barcelona has its charm. I'm sure like so many other big cities do. Little cafes and bars and people sitting on benches in parks and old people doing old people shit. But this isn't the Spain that's been on my bucket list. Give me some little fishing village or drop me in the middle of Rioja. But again, this wasn't my trip. It wasn't for me. I just got to keep telling myself as I'm wandering around Barcelona looking for some chance inspiration that I can find a composition I like enough to press the shutter. To me, at the end of the day, Barcelona is just like every other big metropolitan city. Like New York, I've been a couple times. I've seen it. I don't need to see it again. It's just not my thing. Or at least let me check off more of my travel bucket list, and then we can talk about Barcelona. It's like wanting to see the Rocky Mountains, so you fly to Colorado and you only hang out in downtown Denver. I'd sort of mentally traced a path of my walk Monday night, so I just retraced my steps. Like right outside the hotel. And the cat graffiti at the end of the street. The nearby alleys, and wherever I ended up wandering. And just like that, as quickly as I had arrived in Spain, it was time to go home. If the time it takes you to get to your destination and back is equal to the time that you have at your destination, it ain't worth it, but you do you.